In the summer of 1995, a small town in Arkansas became the epicenter of a mystery that would haunt the nation for decades. 6-year-old Morgan Nick vanished without a trace from a Little League baseball game in Alma, leaving behind a devastated family and a community in shock. This disappearance, which occurred on June 9th, would become one of the most perplexing cold cases in American history. Alma, Arkansas, a quiet town of just over 5,000 residents, was not accustomed to such high-profile crimes. The disappearance of Morgan Nick would change that forever. Morgan, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed child described as vivacious and friendly, was last seen at the Alma baseball complex, where she had been watching a game with her mother, Colleen Nick. The events of that fateful night seemed ordinary at first. Morgan had asked her mother's permission to catch fireflies with her friends. Colleen, though initially hesitant, agreed. It was a decision that would haunt her for years to come. The last confirmed sighting of Morgan was near the family car, where she was emptying sand from her shoes. As the evening progressed, a sinister presence was noted by witnesses at the baseball field. An unidentified man was observed watching Morgan and her friends as they played. When questioned later, the children described the man as creepy and reported that he had been talking to Morgan in the field. This information, coupled with the sighting of a red pickup truck with a white camper shell that left the area around the time Morgan disappeared, would become crucial elements in the investigation. The realization that Morgan was missing struck like a thunderbolt. When her friends returned to their families, Morgan was nowhere to be found. The carefree atmosphere of the Little League game quickly dissolved into panic and fear. Colleen Nick immediately alerted authorities, and a frantic search began, extending from the baseball complex into the surrounding areas. As night turned to dawn, the harsh reality set in. Morgan Nick had vanished without a trace. Law enforcement agencies quickly mobilized, launching an extensive search and investigation. The FBI became involved, recognizing the potential of a child abduction case that crossed state lines. In the days following Morgan's disappearance, a disturbing pattern emerged. On the same day Morgan vanished, another attempted abduction was reported in Alma. A man matching the description of Morgan's suspected abductor tried to lure a small child into his car at a local laundromat. The attempt was unsuccessful, but it raised alarming questions about a potential predator operating in the area. The following day, June 10th, brought another chilling incident. In nearby Fort Smith, Arkansas, a man fitting the same description approached a young girl at a convenience store. He grabbed her and attempted to force her into the men's restroom. Fortunately, the girl's mother intervened, fighting off the attacker. These incidents, occurring in such close proximity to Morgan's disappearance, both geographically and temporally, suggested a possible connection. As the investigation progressed, leads began to surface. On June 14th, a man named Mark Waddle was arrested and investigated as a potential suspect. Waddle was driving a truck similar to the one seen leaving the baseball field on the night of Morgan's disappearance. However, after thorough questioning and investigation, Waddle was cleared of any involvement in the case. The investigation faced numerous challenges, including false leads and hoaxes. On June 26th, a tip came in claiming that Morgan had been sighted in Stuttgart, Arkansas. This led to an extensive search operation that continued until 4:30 a.m. the next day. Ultimately, the tip was revealed to be a hoax when the informant failed a lie detector test about the truthfulness of his information. This incident not only wasted valuable police resources, but also dealt an emotional blow to those desperately hoping for Morgan's safe return. In an attempt to gather more information, law enforcement set up roadblocks in Alma on July 23, 1995. They questioned those entering and leaving the town, hoping to uncover new leads. While this effort didn't yield any breakthroughs in Morgan's case, it did result in several unrelated arrests for drug possession and driving under the influence. The investigation into Morgan's disappearance continued to evolve over the years, with new leads and technologies bringing both hope and frustration. In January 2002, a tip led investigators to a private property in Boonville, Arkansas, where it was suggested Morgan might be buried. Despite a thorough search, no evidence was found. However, a significant development occurred in August 1995, though its importance wouldn't be fully realized until years later. A young girl walking home with her brothers was approached by a man in a red pickup truck with a white cab. The man, allegedly intoxicated, made sexual comments and tried to lure her into his vehicle with promises of money. The girl's screams caused the man to flee, hitting a telephone pole as he sped away. Witnesses provided a license plate number that would later prove crucial. The case saw renewed interest in 2017 when detectives received a tip suggesting Morgan might be buried on a property in Spiro, Oklahoma. A 10-hour excavation yielded no results, but it demonstrated the ongoing commitment to solving the case. In 2021, the release of a 4-part docuseries titled Still Missing Morgan on Hulu reignited public interest and generated hundreds of new leads. This increased attention led to a significant breakthrough in November 2021 when the FBI named Billy Jack Links as a person of interest in the case. Links, who had died in prison in 2000, became the focus of the investigation due to his physical proximity to the crime scene, his resemblance to witness descriptions, and his ownership of a truck matching the one seen on the night of Morgan's disappearance. In February 2023, forensic testing of Links's truck, which had been impounded for decades, revealed crucial evidence. While DNA testing of blood and hair found under the floor mats was inconclusive, investigators discovered clothing fibers that matched the type of shirt Morgan was wearing when she disappeared. The most recent development came on October 5, 2024, when the Alma Police Department officially named Billy Jack Links as the suspect in Morgan Nick's disappearance. This announcement, made by Police Chief Jeff Pointer, marked the first time in 3 decades that a suspect had been identified in the case. Throughout the years, Morgan's mother, Colleen Nick, has been a tireless advocate for missing children. She founded the Morgan Nick Foundation to educate the public on child safety and to assist families of missing children. Her efforts led to the renaming of the Arkansas Amber Alert System in Morgan's honor. Love and respect for this family, and hope they one day find peace. On December 5, 2015, 19-year-old Caitlin Akins vanished without a trace, leaving behind a perplexing trail of clues and unanswered questions. All of this happening in the quiet town of Spotsylvania County, Virginia. It didn't seem possible. However, it would become a haunting mystery that continues to baffle investigators and torment her loved ones. Caitlin was born on September 2, 1996, in Spotsylvania County. Known for her kind heart and free spirit, she had recently moved to Arizona to live with her fiancé, Amber Rios, and pursue her dream of becoming a cosmetologist. In December 2015, Caitlin returned to Virginia for a brief visit to attend her mother's wedding. On the morning of December 5th, Caitlin was scheduled to fly back to Arizona from Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. Her ex-stepfather, James Branton, offered to drive her to the airport. According to Branton, he picked Caitlin up from her mother's home in Partlow, Virginia, at around 8:30 a.m. for the 77-mile journey to the airport. What should have been a routine trip took an unexpected turn. Branton later claimed that Caitlin had a change of heart during the drive and asked to be dropped off at Springfield Mall near the Franconia Springfield Metro station, allegedly to meet a friend. This decision, if true, marked the last confirmed sighting of Caitlin Akins. The day unfolded with a series of puzzling communications. At 11:56 a.m., Caitlin texted her fiancé, Amber, stating, "Something came up. I'm not coming back today. I'll let you know when I get a new flight. I won't be able to text for a bit." This message was out of character for Caitlin, who had been eager to return to Arizona. At 1:52 p.m., James Branton texted Caitlin's mother, Lisa Sullivan, informing her that he had dropped Caitlin off at the Springfield Metro station. This information immediately alarmed Lisa, as it was highly unusual for her daughter. The mystery deepened at 2:00 p.m. when Lisa received a text from Caitlin's phone claiming she was at the airport. The message read, "I'm at the airport. Battery dying, so won't be able to text for a bit." Lisa replied, asking Caitlin to let her know when she boarded the plane. However, flight records would later confirm that Caitlin never boarded her scheduled flight. The final communication came at 7:15 p.m. when Caitlin's phone sent 2 more texts to her mother. "I'm staying with a friend, and I need some time alone." Lisa, growing increasingly worried, responded with pleas for Caitlin to call her, but received no further response. The investigation began in earnest when Caitlin failed to return to Arizona as planned. On December 7th, 2 days after her disappearance, a critical piece of evidence emerged. Caitlin's luggage was discovered in a drainage ditch near River Road in Fredericksburg, Virginia, approximately 50 miles from Springfield Mall and in the opposite direction of the airport. The suitcase contained Caitlin's wallet, identification, cash, and some clothes, raising immediate suspicions of foul play. The lack of security camera footage or eyewitnesses at Springfield Mall meant that James Branton's account of dropping Caitlin off could neither be confirmed nor refuted. Investigators meticulously combed through cell phone records, interviewed potential witnesses, and conducted extensive searches of the areas where Caitlin was last seen and where her luggage was found. The Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office, in collaboration with the FBI, pursued numerous leads over the following months and years. They investigated Caitlin's personal relationships, examined her online activity, and explored various scenarios ranging from voluntary disappearance to abduction. Despite these efforts, no significant breakthroughs emerged. James Branton remained a person of interest due to his status as the last known person to see Caitlin. However, without concrete evidence linking him to her disappearance, authorities were unable to make any arrests or file charges. Branton maintained his original story throughout questioning and subsequent interviews. In the years following Caitlin's disappearance, her family, particularly her mother, Lisa Sullivan, and sister Gabrielle, have been tireless advocates for keeping the case in the public eye. They've organized vigils, distributed flyers, and utilized social media to spread awareness about Caitlin's case. The family has also worked closely with missing persons organizations to highlight not only Caitlin's case, but also the broader issue of missing young adults. As each anniversary of Caitlin's disappearance passes, law enforcement officials renew their calls for information from the public. The Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office continues to treat this as an active missing persons case, periodically reviewing evidence and following up on any new leads that emerge. The disappearance of Caitlin Akins remains one of Virginia's most perplexing, unsolved cases. As of now, the whereabouts of Caitlin Akins remain unknown, and the circumstances surrounding her disappearance continue to be shrouded in mystery. In the quiet town of Mays Landing, New Jersey, a promising young life was cut tragically short on July 12, 2015. Tiffany Valiante, an 18-year-old star athlete with a bright future ahead, vanished into the night, only to be found dead on nearby train tracks hours later. What initially appeared to be a straightforward case of suicide soon unraveled into a complex web of unanswered questions, mishandled evidence, and a family's relentless pursuit of the truth. Tiffany stood tall at 6 feet 2 inches tall, a natural athlete who had recently graduated from Oakcrest High School. She had earned a volleyball scholarship to Mercy College in New York, where she planned to study criminal justice. Known for her kind heart and infectious energy, Tiffany was described by those who knew her as happy-go-lucky and maternal towards her nieces and nephews. On that fateful summer evening, Tiffany attended a graduation party for her cousin, just across the street from her family's home on Manheim Avenue. The celebration was in full swing when, at around 9 p.m., a phone call set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the lives of the Valiante family. A friend of Tiffany's contacted her parents, Diane and Steve, accusing their daughter of using her debit card without permission. This led to a confrontation between Tiffany and her mother. Shortly after, at approximately 9:30 p.m., Tiffany walked away from her home, captured on a Deer camera in the family's yard, wearing a t-shirt, white shorts, new shoes, and a headband. What happened in the next hour and 45 minutes remains a mystery. At 11:16 p.m., the quiet night was shattered when a southbound NJ Transit train struck a person on the tracks at mile marker 45 in Galloway Township. The victim was Tiffany Valiante. The initial investigation moved swiftly. Within 6 days, Tiffany's death was ruled a suicide. Investigators hypothesized that after leaving home, Tiffany had walked over 4 miles barefoot through rough terrain to the incident site. However, this theory raised immediate red flags for those who knew Tiffany best. The Valiante family was stunned by the suicide ruling. They knew Tiffany as a vibrant young woman with plans for her future, not someone contemplating ending her life. Moreover, Tiffany suffered from nyctophobia, an extreme fear of the dark. The idea that she would willingly venture miles into the pitch-black night seemed implausible to those who knew her. As the family grappled with their loss, inconsistencies in the official narrative began to surface. The autopsy revealed that Tiffany's feet were clean and unmarked, despite the theory that she had walked barefoot for miles over rough terrain. Her shorts were missing when her body was found, yet no rape kit was performed during the autopsy. These oversights would later become central to the family's fight for a more thorough investigation. 2 weeks after Tiffany's death, her mother Diane made a startling discovery. While walking to clear her head, about a mile from their home, she found Tiffany's shoes and headband neatly stacked under a tree. Alongside these items were a sweatshirt and keychain that Diane didn't recognize as belonging to her daughter. This find contradicted the official theory about Tiffany's final journey and raised new questions about what really happened that night. The investigation's handling of evidence soon came under scrutiny. The keychain found with Tiffany's belongings mysteriously disappeared before it could be analyzed. A blued axe discovered near a wooded encampment close to the incident site was not treated as potential evidence in a crime scene. These missteps would later be compounded by revelations of broader evidence mishandling. As the Valiante family sought answers, they encountered resistance from official channels. NJ Transit investigators were accused of bungling evidence and providing conflicting statements. The apprentice engineer operating the train that struck Tiffany was not tested for intoxication, a standard procedure in such incidents. Determined to uncover the truth, the Valiantes enlisted the help of attorney Paul D'Amato. In the years following Tiffany's death, D'Amato filed several lawsuits aimed at changing the manner of death from suicide to undetermined, which would allow the case to be reopened and investigated as a potential crime. In 2017, D'Amato filed a civil lawsuit in New Jersey Superior Court, not only requesting a change in the medical examiner's ruling, but also demanding a jury trial to address allegations of kidnapping, assault and battery, manslaughter, murder, conspiracy, and destruction of evidence. This bold move was supported by an independent investigation conducted by Louise Hausman, a former medical examiner, who detailed numerous flaws in the original investigation. Despite these efforts, in March 2018, State Medical Examiner Andrew Falzon upheld the initial suicide ruling. This setback did not deter the Valiante family or their legal team. They continued to push for answers and a more thorough examination of the evidence. A significant breakthrough came in December 2020 when D'Amato won a discovery motion in Atlantic County Superior Court. This ruling allowed for the reopening of discovery and DNA testing of evidence from the scene. However, what should have been a step towards clarity only revealed further issues with the handling of the case. The DNA testing results were shocking. Key evidence had been so grossly mishandled that it was deemed to be of no probative scientific value. Tiffany's T-shirt, a crucial piece of evidence, had been improperly stored, allowing mold to grow on it. The bloodied axe found near the scene and the mysterious keychain discovered with Tiffany's shoes had both been lost before they could be tested. These revelations of evidence mishandling added fuel to the family's argument that the initial investigation was inadequate and that Tiffany's death deserved a more thorough examination. The family's theory that Tiffany may have been abducted, possibly assaulted, and then either chased or thrown in front of the train to cover up the crime gained more traction in light of these investigative failures. Throughout this ordeal, the Valiante family has remained steadfast in their pursuit of the truth. They've erected multiple memorials to Tiffany, including a large T made of lumber in their backyard and another at the site of the incident. Each year, they hold remembrance ceremonies, refusing to let Tiffany's memory fade or the questions surrounding her death go unanswered. In October 2022, when it was announced that Tiffany's story would be featured in the third season of Netflix's Unsolved Mysteries. This development brought renewed attention to the case, offering hope that fresh eyes and public interest might lead to new information or witnesses coming forward. The Netflix feature highlighted the many inconsistencies in the official narrative. It questioned how Tiffany, who was terrified of the dark, could have walked miles through unfamiliar woods at night. It also raised concerns about the missing clothing, the mishandled evidence, and the rush to judgment in ruling her death a suicide without a psychological autopsy or a more thorough investigation of alternative scenarios. Today, years after Tiffany's death, many questions remain unanswered. Was Tiffany Valiante the victim of foul play, as her family believes? Was her death truly a suicide, as officially ruled? Or does the truth lie somewhere in between, obscured by a flawed investigation and mishandled evidence? What is clear is that the official investigation failed to provide the Valiante family with the answers and closure they deserve. The mishandling of evidence, the rush to judgment, and the resistance to reopening the case have only deepened the tragedy of Tiffany's untimely death. Tiffany Valiante's story is far from over. As new technologies emerge and public interest continues to grow, there remains hope that one day the full truth of what happened on that July night in 2015 will come to light. Until then, Tiffany's memory lives on through her family's tireless efforts, serving as a call for justice not just for her, but for all victims of unsolved crimes.